Welcome to Today in Prophecy Daily News in 15 minutes or less. News with the Bible to keep us going in the right direction. So many things are happening over in Italy. Italy's Mount Etna volcano erupts with massive ash cloud and lava fountain, but not just over in Italy are things happening. Unusual flurry of quakes shakes near Idaho mountain town. Plus, NATO is pushing for five-fold boost to ground-based air defenses, and the IDF expects to achieve full operational control over 75% of Gaza Strip within 2 months. However, let's start here. It appears that both Syria and Yemen have fired rockets at Israel, or missiles apparently from Yemen at Israel. And let's keep this into perspective. So if we go back about a month or so, Trump said all is good with the Houthis in Yemen. And remember that. And you look at what's going on there, not so fast. And then you look at what's taking place in Syria. I thought that we were supposed to be getting along with Syria now. Many people, like myself, have called out what's going on with trying to make peace with these radical terrorists like Jolani from Syria. And you realize, you know what? Israel is surrounded by some very wicked people. They've got them in Gaza. They have them in Judea and Samaria. They have them on the outside. They have them in the areas of Syria. You have them down in Yemen. And of course, you have Iran. You cannot make a deal with the devil. The devil will lie to you all the time. So we look at this, and the true colors of Yemen and Syria, they're there for everybody to see. So you look at that and go, how long will our current administration continue to negotiate with those who are clearly the enemy and have Israel's worst intentions in mind? Okay, then check this out. Regarding Trump's, let's see what the name of the bill is, Trump's one big, beautiful bill. Elon Musk, as many of you already know, he's no longer part of the administration. And he's one that brought in Doge to get rid of all of the government waste. Remember the billions and billions of dollars that were just being wasted by the government. Our tax dollars being wasted by the government. Elon Musk comes around and says, hey, we got it. This is just, we got to cut this out. This is absolutely awful what's happening. And then, so he does, gets control on that. And then he said, hey, don't be surprised if every American gets a $5,000 check in the mail, where apparently things are changing because now Elon Musk, he just sent this out just a few hours ago, earlier today. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This is his tweet, or his X post. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Wow, a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. Friends, we are watching some very interesting things that are taking place. Not only with Syria and Yemen, firing at Israel, can't negotiate with the devil. And now, after Doge comes along with Elon Musk, cutting all of this extra, this pork, cutting it to save billions of dollars. For taxpayers here in America, along comes this big, beautiful bill, and Elon Musk is saying, hey, this is more of the same. This is an outrageous, disgusting bill. Folks, you look at things that are going on, and it really should cause us to say, wait a minute, no matter who you vote for, you got to call things the way they are. You know, we'll see how things roll as we continue down this path. But folks, we need to keep our elected officials accountable in all different areas. Just because you vote for someone doesn't mean that you turned a blind eye. You got to call them out. Now look at things that are happening right now. Friends, we live in an interesting world. Okay, with that, we think of this in the Bible, Matthew chapter 24, for example, when the disciples asked Jesus, what's the sign of your coming and the end of the age? And then he went on to describe how the temple's going to be destroyed. That happened in 70 AD. But the next part of their question was the sign of your coming and the end of the age. In other words, when are you coming back? When are you going to fulfill the establishment of you leading as King of Kings and Lord of Lords from Jerusalem? When is that going to happen? What sign of your coming and the end of the age? When are you going to sees your Messiah. When are you going to become the one who is enthroned in the millennial kingdom, the messianic kingdom? Is that day going to happen now, or is it going to happen later? We know that Jesus came the first time he went to the cross. He's coming back again to be enthroned, leading the messianic kingdom. And he says, he answers them, what's the sign of your coming and the end of the age? Sign of your coming, the messianic kingdom, the beginning of it, and the end of the age, the end of this age that we are in right now. The disciples did not yet understand at that point the first coming of Christ and the second coming of Christ, but we can understand it by the way the question was actually asked and then answered, exactly what Jesus was talking about. In that, he said, there will be wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will be pestilences. There will be famines, and on down the list. Lawlessness will abound and so forth. So now we are witnessing this. Over in Italy, Italy's Mount Etna volcano erupts with a massive ash cloud and a lava fountain. Mount Etna, the rambunctious volcano on the Italian island of Sicily, grumbled back to life on Monday, spewing hot ash and lava in a pyroclastic flow. The nation's volcano monitoring body said there were no reports of any risk to the population, which is accustomed to Etna's frequent eruptions or to air travel. Indeed, I did want to point that out. It's not uncommon to have volcanoes. In fact, there's usually volcanoes that are going off in various parts of the planet throughout the whole year. Hawaii seems to always have them. So it's not uncommon to have them. But when we start to see the frequency and intensity of things, that should have our attention. There's this. So this out of Yahoo News, unusual flurry of earthquakes shakes near Idaho mountain town. Okay, let's get a little bit of balance here before going on any further. As Jesus gave us the signs of his coming and the end of the age, pointing to the second coming of Christ, that's at the end of the tribulation period, he said, these things must always be. These are the beginning of sorrows. The term beginning of sorrows is a term of birth pangs, pregnancy pains, right? They will increase in frequency and intensity as you draw closer and closer to that day. But he also said, these things must always be. What must always be? Earthquakes in various places. There's always going to be volcanoes and famines and pestilences. There's always going to be nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom, wars and rumors of wars. But as it goes closer and closer to the tribulation period, we can expect to see more and more of these. But know this, the end is not yet. So when you see reports, maybe on a prophecy news site or something like that, we've entered the tribulation period. Folks, we have not. These things must always be. When it comes to the tribulation period, listen, the earthquakes will be so massive, the mountains will crumble, islands will disappear into the sea. Volcanoes will be so incredibly massive that the sky will appear to roll up like a scroll. There will be asteroids that will be plummeting the planet like figs are falling from a tree late in season, according to Revelation chapter 6. We are not there yet. These are reminders of those things that will come. I would take them as warning signs, a wake-up call. Okay, I'm seeing these things. I should remember that God has created all things, and the earth, the whole planet, all of creation suffers because of the curse of sin. So we have it in the right perspective. Listen, we're going to be okay. You're going to be good. If you know the Lord, listen, there's a great end to this because we know that all of these things point to the second coming of Christ, but the end is not yet. So remember that. Okay, let's go here for a couple of minutes. Ukraine's stunning assault roils Russia's global military strategy. Okay, that was news from just the other day. But then there's also this. The next article, NATO is pushing for fivefold boost to ground-based air defenses. So why is NATO doing that? All of the things that are happening with Ukraine and Russia, Trump has said, you guys got to be able to take care of your own problems in your own neighborhood. Okay, let's look at the Ukraine-Russia situation first of all. Think through it. So what happens is Ukraine, they park some semis inside Russia, and out of them comes all kinds of drones. And they go and they just do an absolute, they have an absolutely devastating attack in one of Russia's places with some of their air defenses and their planes that they use for war. So you look at this and you realize what Ukraine's drones were able to do. It was really remarkable work in a sense, in that it may have rattled the bear a little bit more, which it could be a bigger problem. And personally, I don't think Zelensky has the brain power to be the one behind it. There's something else going on here, but nevertheless, these drones brought in by a semi and then programmed after, by the way, there was a remote control door that let all the drones out of the semis. And then the drones leave and go and do their attack that they did inside Russia. So in the one sense, it was really a remarkable attack. It was brilliant. It was beyond Zelensky. There's somebody's brain that's behind this, or brains that are behind this. Maybe NATO, maybe US, I don't know. But here's the thing that we need to remember, and you need to let this sink in. Warfare has changed. You don't have to have these massive tanks rolling in anymore to take over a city. Warfare has changed. So now if we think about it, China could park a container ship somewhere off of Los Angeles, just for example. Or some other country could have it parked in the Gulf of Mexico or over on the East Coast with all kinds of drones or other missiles to launch out of the containers. In fact, we talked about this several years ago. Well, now it's been done. Ukraine has done this inside Russia. Again, whose brain was behind it, I don't know. But this has changed the field. It's not going to be war the same way it used to be. Nations are going to be getting away from spending billions of dollars on F-35s and F-16s and all of the tanks that they were spending the money on. It looks like it's turning over to more and more drone warfare, where we have talked about that. Drone swarms. A battleship, an aircraft carrier, for example, has now become a sitting duck because of drone warfare. Look at what Yemen has done over in the Red Sea. So you start to see this and you realize, okay, this is a very real threat now. Not only that, but if you were to go inside the borders of the United States or inside the borders of Europe, where the borders have been blown open, and you realize you have some very nefarious players that want to take down America or parts of Europe, guess what? You bring the drones in, you bring them in semis, you bring them in on container ships off the coast, and you can see the destruction that you can do immediately. So as we're looking at what was done between Ukraine and Russia, folks, I'm telling you, everything just changed. Although the technology and ability has been there, now it has actually been used, and this is only with Ukraine. There's much bigger players involved and a lot more technology involved, and we need to be prepared. In the meantime, we got to remember, you don't lose heart. You got to stand firm on God's word and understand that Jesus himself said, unless those days were short, meaning the days of the tribulation, no flesh would be saved. Friends, everything is changing. So keep your eyes fixed on the Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you guys. See you tomorrow.